Sometimes, the deepest wounds do not come from strangers, but from the very ones you trusted the most. The people you opened your heart to, the ones you expected to stand beside you, sometimes become the very hands that cut you the deepest. Betrayal does not come from a distance, it comes close, and when that hurt settles into your spirit, it can either become the poison that destroys you, or the fuel that pushes you into your destiny. The first way to handle people who hurt you is to recognize that their actions do not define your worth. Too often we take someone's rejection as proof of our inadequacy. But hear me, you are not what they said about you. You are not the lies they spread. You are not the mistake they keep reminding you of. Your value was established long before they ever mishandled you. So when they hurt you, don't hand them the keys to your identity. Do not let their brokenness dictate how you see yourself. Their failure to value you is not a reflection of your value. It's a revelation of theirs. The second way is to resist the urge to retaliate. Because hurt people will tempt you to hurt them back. Pain will push you toward revenge, but every time you lower yourself to fight them at their level, you step out of the place of power and into the pit of bitterness. You cannot heal while holding a weapon. You cannot move forward while rehearsing how to strike back. Sometimes the greatest victory is silence. Sometimes the strongest move is walking away. You win not by matching their attack, but by mastering your response. The third way is to release them in forgiveness, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness is not approval of what they did. Forgiveness is not amnesia of the pain. Forgiveness is the decision to say, you will not control my heart any longer. Some of you are not stuck because of what they did. You are stuck because of what you're still carrying. You have built a prison of unforgiveness, and you are serving the sentence while they walk free. But when you forgive, the chains break. Forgiveness sets you free. And the fourth way to handle people who hurt you is to let their betrayal become your education. Every hurt carries a lesson. Every tear has wisdom in it. Do not waste your pain. Let it teach you who to trust. Let it sharpen your discernment. Let it strengthen your character. Some of the greatest growth you will ever experience will be birthed out of the very place that broke you. They thought they were destroying you, but they were preparing you. The fire they threw you into was the fire that purified you. The rejection that cut you was the very thing that redirected you toward the place you were meant to be. When people wound you, the sting is often not in what they did, but in how deeply you internalized it. The first way to handle people who hurt you is to realize that their actions, their words, their rejection do not define your worth. Too many carry scars on the inside because they believe the lies spoken over them. Somebody called you worthless, and you wore it like a name tag. Somebody abandoned you, and you convinced yourself that it meant you weren't enough. Somebody betrayed you, and now you walk around with a sense of being less than. But the truth is, what they did says more about them than it says about you. People can only give out of the reservoir of what they have inside. If they are broken, they will break others. If they are insecure, they will project insecurity. If they are blind, they will fail to see your value. It does not mean you are valueless, it means their vision is limited. When you start believing that what they did defines you, you begin living in a cage built by someone else's weakness. You start living beneath your true calling because you think their rejection is evidence that you're unworthy. But rejection is not always an insult. Sometimes it is redirection. Sometimes their inability to recognize your gift is the very thing that forces you to discover your strength without their validation. You do not need everyone to affirm you to walk in your purpose. Your worth is not a group vote. It is not determined by applause. It is not established by acceptance. It was written into you before you took your first breath. The danger comes when you allow their words to echo so loudly that they drown out the voice of truth inside of you. You cannot let the sting of their betrayal rewrite the script of your life. You must choose to separate who you are from what they did. If you do not, you will live bound to the opinions of people who are not even qualified to judge you. You will start carrying their mistakes like your identity. That is why the first way to handle those who hurt you is to refuse to absorb their brokenness. Recognize they They lashed out not because you were unworthy, but because they were incapable of loving you right. Recognize that their silence, their absence, their betrayal is not a mirror of your value. Their failure does not mean you are a failure. Their leaving does not mean you are unlovable. Cruelty does not erase your dignity. Once you embrace this, you will no longer look to them to tell you who you are. You will stop replaying their rejection like it is the final verdict. You will walk into every room understanding that whether they clap or not, whether they stay or not, whether they see it or not, you are already enough. Your worth is not on trial. It is settled. It is permanent. It is unshakable. The second way to handle people who hurt you is to resist the urge to retaliate. When you've been cut deeply, everything in you wants to cut back. When you've been betrayed, temptation rises to expose them, to shame them, to make them feel the same pain you felt. But retaliation keeps you chained to the very wound you're trying to heal from. Every time you plot against them, every time you imagine how to get even, you keep feeding the fire that burned you in the first place. Revenge feels like strength for a moment, but in truth, it drains your power. It makes you a prisoner to the person who wronged you, because now they still control your emotions, your thoughts, your energy. Sometimes silence is stronger than shouting back. Sometimes walking away is more powerful than striking back, because the real test of character is not how you act when you are loved, but how you respond when you are mistreated. If you mirror their behavior, you lower yourself to their level. If you let your heart become as dark as theirs, you surrender the light that makes you different. Life will always give you opportunities to fight battles that are beneath you, but not every battle is worth your sword. There are people who want you distracted, tangled up in endless conflict, so you never rise above. If they can keep you angry, they can keep you small. If they can't keep you bitter, they can keep you bound. Retaliation looks like strength, but it is really weakness wearing a mask. Real power is in restraint. Real strength is in refusing to let their actions pull you out of your destiny. When you choose not to strike back, you choose to rise higher. You are saying, I will not let your offense deter me. I will not let your betrayal rob me of my peace. I will not let your cruelty turn me into someone I am not. Every second you spend trying to even the score is a second stolen from your growth, your healing, your future. The energy you waste trying to hurt them could be used to build yourself. The time you waste rehearsing their offense could be spent pursuing your purpose. There is something liberating about refusing to answer an insult. There is a quiet power in letting their words fall to the ground without picking them up. You don't have to clap back at everything said against you. You don't have to prove your worth to people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't have to explain yourself to people who have already decided not to see you. The urge to retaliate is real, but the discipline to resist it is what makes you unstoppable. You win by mastering yourself. You win by guarding your spirit. You win by walking away with your dignity intact. Let them talk. Let them plot. Let them point. Your silence will speak louder than their noise. Your peace will outlast their poison. Your growth will outshine their gossip. The third way to handle people who hurt you is to release them in forgiveness, not because they asked for it, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to live free. Carrying unforgiveness is like carrying fire in your hands, expecting it to burn someone else while it slowly destroys you. The weight of bitterness is heavier than the wound itself. Some people live years, even decades, shackled to memories of betrayal, chained to the echo of words spoken in anger, bound by the disappointment of promises never kept. And the saddest part is the one who hurt them has often moved on, while they remain stuck in a prison built by their own refusal to forgive. Forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness does not erase what was done. Forgiveness does not excuse the offense. Forgiveness simply says, I will no longer let your actions dictate my future. When you hold on to anger, you keep replaying the scene of the crime, and each time you replay it, you relive it. You reopen the wound, you refill the pain, and you resabotage your healing. But when you choose to forgive, you close the door to yesterday so you can walk into tomorrow. Forgiveness is like cutting a rope that has been dragging behind you, slowing you down, keeping you tied to moments you can't change. The release does not change the past, but it changes you. It lightens your step, it clears your vision, it opens your hands so you can receive what is waiting ahead. Some of you cannot rise higher because you are too heavy with resentment. You are trying to run a race with weights around your ankles. Every time you see their face, you get stuck. Every time their name is mentioned, your spirit shifts. That is not living. That is being imprisoned by emotions that refuse to let you breathe. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the cell door. Forgiveness is the choice that says, I will not stay bound another day. You may have betrayed me, but you will not own me. You may have left me, but you will not define me. You may have hurt me, but you will not keep me hostage. Forgiveness does not minimize the pain, it maximizes your healing. It is an act of power, not surrender. It is taking control back over your own soul. It is refusing to let what they did contaminate who you are. You do not forgive because they earned it. You forgive because you refuse to let their offense continue to live inside you. Think of how much more of your energy, your creativity, your peace you could reclaim if you weren't draining it by carrying old anger. Think of how much more space in your heart you would have if you weren't cluttering it with grudges. Forgiveness clears the room for joy to enter. Forgiveness makes space for purpose to grow. Forgiveness says, I am no longer a victim of what you did. I am the victor who chose to move on.